All right, we're back. I'm gonna switch over to the 40-pound dumbbells. So my wife and I always used to watch like scary movies together, and with kids in the house, it's harder to like really get into a scary movie because you don't want them walking in and seeing something scary on TV, and then you have to, you know, calm their fears. So it's very difficult. But last night we were watched a scary show, and then would sleep, and one of my kids woke me up like right by getting right in my face, and that was not fantastic of them. It definitely scared me waking up with my child right in my face, and thankfully I was able to control my normal fear response, which is fighting. So everything was fine, but man, it's so much harder to watch scary movies when you have kids too, because when you live with just your wife, every noise in your house or your apartment, you know, and so you know automatically if there's like a weird noise in the night that it's like something potentially bad, and you can go out and be ready to fight whatever the noise is. But when you have kids, you know, that thing causing noise in the living room, maybe your own child, so you can't just rush out and start fighting. You have to be a little bit more cautious. So, and that's hard for me because my fear reaction is always fight. I was putting one of my kids to bed last night, and they were arguing. They did not want to go to sleep, and they were fighting it pretty hard. So I told them, "Do you want me to sing you a song?" Because I was singing to my kids when I put them to sleep. And they said yes, and I said okay. So I was like gonna sing just a random song, and they asked me. They said, "Can you sing Bad to the Bone?" And that was definitely not a song I was expecting them to ask for. So, you know, that's bad to the bone. So I sang it to them, and I'm. It's funny is I haven't played it or sang it for them in months because when we were driving for a while, I would put it on, and they loved the song. They get really into singing it. I love the song, so it was like fun. But they started having a stutter when they would talk, and I thought it like my wife was concerned at first because she thought, you know, they had a speech impediment, And then I was like, no, I think it's an affectation. I think they're doing the stutter on purpose because of the song. So I stopped playing the song, and like within less than a week, they were back to talking normal. I don't know if this song influenced them to have a stutter or if they were just doing affectation, but either way, it was pretty funny. Kids are great. All right. Mhm. I have this theory that what if weights are the ultimate placebo effect? That what if, as humans, we're capable of lifting a lot more weight than we think, and that good form is the important thing that we develop when we weight lift, but that really there's nothing that we can't lift. Man, I hate when my shirt rises up, so the bottom of my stomach is sticking out doing the bench. It's very unflattering. So, what if the weights are just placebo that makes us believe we can do it? What if we could have lifted the heavy weights the whole time? And it's only when we believe that we can do it that we actually are able to do it. And that's why you see like muscle size is not a determining factor in how much someone can lift. And you'll see guys that don't look very strong or very big at all that just move massive amount of weights. And it's just a placebo effect. They believe that they can lift it, and they believe so then they can. I have no proof of that. That's it for the 40s. Gonna move on down to the 50s. And the only thing that makes me think it's possible is the placebo effect. Is you hear stories like my dad, when my dad was a kid, they were playing in the car, and the car started rolling, and my dad was little, and he thought that he could get out and stop the car from rolling, and it rolled over my dad, and my dad got stuck under the car. And according to the legend, my grandma ran out and a surge of adrenaline picked up the back of the car off my dad. And this would have been, in like 1967 when all cars were still pretty solid metal. So this wasn't a tiny little car, but she was able to lift it in that surge of adrenaline. And you hear lots of stories where people are able to lift amazing amounts of weight when adrenaline hits them or there's like a life and death situation. So I always wonder, not seriously, but more just for funsies, wondered if all weightlifting was just a practice in placebo. That you're not actually, that the building of the muscle isn't actually leading to a greater ability to lift. It's just all mental. I will say, like, the part about weightlifting that's fascinating, and that is to me just part of the mental challenge, is when you hear people talk about training to failure. Like, to me, a key part of training to failure is the fact that you're doing a lot of work in a very compact space, and you have to keep the timing of your in between sets shorter, so then you exhaust your muscles. But what I found when I was younger is, like, I would do a workout and I would exhaust my muscles to where, like, I was done, but then I would go and get on the treadmill for 10 or 30 minutes, come back and be able to hit it again and just keep doing that. And I learned that from doing manual labor. Like, you can exhaust your body and then take a little break and then be right back at it. Like, I had a job where I spent 8 hours a day moving 50-pound bags of seed, and, like, just constant. So you would, you know, we put the seed, like, we were mixing seeds in giant machines. So you'd have to load these 50-pound bags, and you would do, like, anywhere from 2,000 pounds to 10,000 pound mixes at a time. And you and your partner, and sometimes you have 3 guys, you'd line up all the bags. So that was one time where you put the 50-pound bags out, and then you had to grab each bag, cut it open, and dump it into the machine, and then you had to pull the bag out. And if it was your job to pull the bag out or your job to weigh it, either way, you're still moving these heavy bags of seed. So, you guaranteed if the load was 10,000 pounds, you moved it at least 10,000 pounds at least once by yourself by the time the job is done. And you may do that whole thing. You can do a couple of 10,000 pounds, easily 3 loads of 10,000 pounds in an 8-hour period. And so you just get super jacked, but you learn that your body can do a lot of work for a long period of time. And it makes it hard to go to the gym because you're getting a much better workout at work. That's why you definitely don't want to tangle with farm hands. That's why those country boys are so damn strong. And you hear stories about them, so many of those guys being able to bend a horseshoe and twist it up with their bare hands. I heard of a story once of a rancher that could punch so hard. He used to punch his anvil for fun. It's his punching bag, and he would do this all the time. And then one day they challenged him to see if he could knock out a bull or a cow, either way. And unfortunately, it's animal cruelty, but the guy took the bet, and he went out and one punch, like, knocked out this cow. That's pretty impressive. I wasn't there, so the story is a legend. I can't verify if it's true or not, but it strikes me as a strong possibility that it is true. So it's always weird when you meet someone who's never really done anything physical. They never worked out. They never did any sports. They never did any sort of manual labor. They've had pretty easy lives. And you shake their hands, and it's like super limp and like a limp fish. And you can they feel like baby smooth. It was super weird. I met this, I think he was just a wannabe gangbanger. I don't think he was actually a gangster. I think he was just posing. But we had some civil words, but I shook his hand, and it was just baby smooth. You could feel like when you shook it that there was like even no real muscles in his wrists, and it just cracked me up. It was like, how are you walking around acting like you're so tough when I could probably snap your wrist with my just one quick move of my hand? You're so undeveloped as a person. Was that Tomo? Come on, Tomo. It cracked me up. And you don't need to do manual labor ever. Like, it's not a requirement, but it is pretty cool when you do it, because then you can see just what your body's capable of. Go toss hay bales for like a few hours. And hay bales are deceiving. Because if you ever pick up a hay bale, like at a harvest fair, or you pick up a hay bale, like to randomly feed some animals or spread straw to clean up a mess, you don't realize just how heavy it is. Because when those boys move it by hand from the harvest, they're doing it when they're wet, and are way heavier when it's fresh cut hay. It's a big difference. No, I didn't grow up on a farm. I had a buddy who did, and we had a friend whose field they needed help. Somebody was hurt, so they needed help getting the fresh bales loaded up on the truck into the barn. And it wasn't even a huge field, but that's what he did when he was younger, was just tossing hay bales. I did work in a seed warehouse where you move 50-pound bags of seed all day. And you can easily you have to put the seeds into the machines to mix them up. So you're, it's like the best exercise I've ever had. Like, so every bag is a full body workout. You line up all your bags in like a long line, and then you double the layer. And then, so you have to pick them up, carry them to the machine, and dump them. And you'll do it. A lot of times it can be anywhere from 2,000 to 10,000 pound mixes. And if you're doing a 10,000 pound mix, you'll have a partner, but you'll at least, between loading the machine and unloading the machine, you're moving that 10,000 pounds in at least like 1.5 times. And the biggest load I ever did was 22,000 pounds. And that was fun. That was a very fun day. But I tell you, when you finish 8 hours of that job, you never sleep better. I've never had a better night's sleep. What I was saying before is it throws off going to the gym, because you your body can keep going. So like you train to fail